Hello. Here we go. It's the Carabao Podcast.
What is happening, everyone, and welcome back to another Carabao Podcast. I'm Mick, and I'm joined by Matt Skelly. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Just buzzing to chat about the Reds. It's always nice between a 6-0 win and a cup final, isn't it? Could be worse things.
It is, lad. It is indeed. But yeah, I mean, let's just get stuck straight into it. Obviously, we're gonna touch on Chelsea a little bit towards the end of the pod, but I just thought we'd literally go through. Obviously, like you said, 6-0, a absolute boss win. But when I was looking earlier, like there was a tweet going around about how many points we were behind. Like, and I think 15th of January we were 14 points behind. 9th of February we were 12 points behind, and now we're just 3. It's mad, isn't it? The way it's panned out in the last couple of weeks with this, especially with the City losing to Spurs and all that.
It's hilarious because in January, the amount of these pundits that get paid stupid amounts of money were writing the title off like, "Oh, is it too boring? Is it too easy? City have won the league already." And like I was saying at the time, like, you know, it's definitely not over yet. There's still a lot of football to be played, and you know, like that gap can increase. We could leapfrog them. Anything can happen at this point. There's still a long way to go. But it's good to see the Reds, like, you know, reminding everyone that we are here. We're not, like, you know, we're not just second fiddle. We are very much up there with Man City in terms of, you know, the players we've got, the manager we've got, everything. And it'll be really good to see us push them toe to toe to the end of the season and hopefully bring that trophy home again.
I know, unless World War III kicks off and it fucks us up again.
Yeah. Like, you know, COVID first time, Putin second time. Like, will we ever see a Premier League trophy parade?
I know. I mean, I've got the league table at the minute. I just thought I'd throw that up just so we can have a little look at it. Obviously, there you've got Man City 26 played, 20 wins, three draws, 3 losses, and then you've got us 26 played, 18 wins. It's the 6 draws, isn't it? Like the 3 extra draws there, which is. You look at the likes of Chelsea twice at home and away. You've got Spurs, I think Brentford, Brighton. Am I missing any others? I think that might be them all. Am I missing any there? But the point I'm making is, like, we could have been a lot closer, couldn't we? I mean, I know we can't really complain after battering Leeds 6-0, but if we would have got over the line with a couple of those games, we might have been in a better position. But I still think. Only 3 points behind. It's looking a lot more promising, isn't it, at the moment?
Well, yeah. Like, end of the day, the job's simple. We win 12 games. We've won the league, obviously, because we've still got City left to play, and obviously the way the goal difference is at the moment, you know, we just need to take every game as it comes and keep looking to each week as it comes along. And like I say, it's in their hands, but it's also in our hands. You know, with the fact we've got to play each other. We both know if we win every game, which we are both very capable of doing. Like, you look at the season, we finished just behind them. We won, 10 or 11 games in a row. They did the same and matched it and ended up coming out on top. So it could be very much one of those sort of title races where both teams just keep winning and winning. And it literally is a case of one slip up, one loss, one draw could be the difference between winning and losing the title. It's going to be a hell of an end to the season.
I know, especially we go to their place in April. But we won't get too far ahead of ourselves. I just want to look in the comments. We've got a few comments in here. We've got Paul's in, evening all. Well, nice one for jumping in, Paul. We've got Yuki, who's in sunny California. I'm absolutely jealous about that. We've got Bethan as well. So true, Liverpool looking so strong at the minute, and the squad depth is incredible. That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, before we get into the game, like the squad depth, like obviously over recent games, Luis Diaz, who we're going to touch on a little bit later as well. We're just like Curtis Jones coming in. Let's just get into the game, actually. Like, in terms of like the starting 11, I think it pretty much picked itself, didn't it? Apart from Klopp likes to throw a little spanner in the works, and he threw Curtis Jones in there on the right of a 3 and put Thiago on the left. Were you surprised? I was going to say you're surprised by that, but I think pretty much everyone was surprised by that, weren't they?
Yeah, it seems that sort of that third midfield spot is anyone's for the taking at the minute. I think Fabinho and Thiago have nailed down their place. Like, you know, if you're to pick an ideal strongest 11, them two have sort of nailed down their spot in it at the moment. And then, you know, you've got everyone else. You've still got the captain, Henderson. Like, you know, most games he probably picks himself as well. But then you've got Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott. You've got Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain there as well. There's so many options. And it, like, I saw a lot of people saying it last night that this is probably the best squad we've ever had. Like, like go back November, December, when everyone was saying like, injury crisis, this, that, the other, squad's looking thin. We don't have enough strength on the bench. We don't have enough, backup options and stuff. But we were just struggling with a couple of injuries here and there. Like, we get to the end of January, suddenly, the boys are back from the AFCON. Luis Diaz has joined the squad. And Thiago and so on are back fully fit and firing. All of a sudden, this squad across the whole pitch, not just the midfield, looks so ridiculously strong. So yeah, that third midfield spot, I mean, like literally you could throw any one of those names in there and we're not much better or worse off for whoever we pick, really. They're all very, very capable players. They've all proven themselves time and time again. So Jurgen's doing what any normal manager would, rotating, giving people minutes. And yeah, like it's just, there's so many options and you've got to give everyone minutes at some point. So it'd be ridiculous to keep Curtis Jones out of the squad because he's a top quality player. I've seen some people giving him a bit of stick on social media recently here and there. Obviously vocal minorities, really. But I saw a tweet earlier on today and it put it perfectly. Like, the lad's 21 and he's in amongst this Liverpool squad. He's a very, very, very good player. And some people do forget that really easily. Some people forget that he's 21 because it sort of feels like he's been about 3 or so years now. Yeah. But yeah, like, he's more than capable of jumping into that squad. And I don't think it is a massive surprise to see him start. Just like it wouldn't be a surprise if Elliott started or Keita started or Henderson or Oxlade-Chamberlain. I mean, we're playing, Leeds are at the bottom end of the table. You'd expect some changes, especially with the cup final at the weekend. So yeah, like I was all for it. Like, I'm all for Curtis Jones getting more and more minutes and, getting more and more experience while he's at it.
Yeah, and like you said, I completely agree. Like he's been, I think he was out of the last 3 squads. I think Inter, Norwich, and Burnley. And I think after the second game where he's not in the squad, I think then the rumours start flying around. Oh, because they floated around before. Has he got like an attitude problem? Has he done this? Has he done that? The eye injury he picked up. People were going, oh, is it something else? Is that a cover for something else? And obviously you can read yourself into a hole in terms of the shit that flies on like social media and that. But be all and end all, like you said, he's an absolutely top quality player. He's only just turned 21 recently. And he I think it took him about 25 minutes to kind of find his feet. He lost the ball a couple of times and he was, I think, not being in the squad for the last 3 games kind of showed because he wasn't quite there in terms of decision making. He dallied a little bit on the ball, which he does do sometimes, but he was a bit prone to that in the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But he grew into the game, didn't he? Definitely, in terms of getting on the ball and making stuff happen, that low centre of gravity and pressing as well. Like he ticks a lot of boxes for a Klopp midfielder, doesn't he? Especially.
He really does, yeah. Like, obviously, like you say, he was out for a good few weeks. Weren't in the squad. He obviously missed football earlier in the season, as you say, as well with the eye injury. But when he's not in the squad, like, we've got too many midfielders to have them all on the bench. It'd be nice to have them all on the bench, but there's not enough spots on that subs bench to have everyone that we want. Our squad is that strong at this point where we aren't going to be able to fit every single person in every single matchday squad. Especially with pretty much the whole squad bar Jota and Firmino. I don't think there's anyone else that's actually out at the minute. So it's going to happen. Players are going to miss out on squads. But it also creates that hunger for when they do come back into the team. They want to cement that place. They want to show that they should be at least on the bench, if not starting more often and stuff. So yeah, it's obviously going to take him a bit of time to get back into the swing of it. Like look at players like Oxlade-Chamberlain. I know me and you spoke before about how he thrives when he has a run in the team, and a lot of footballers everywhere are like that. Players build off momentum, they build off confidence, and all that sort of stuff. So like, yeah, he's a young lad. Like, he's gonna have times where, like, he does struggle to get into games. He does sort of, seem like he's a bit off the pace and stuff, but it's all part and parcel of, coming through the ranks as a youngster. He's far from the finished article, which is probably the best thing about it. Like, he's still got so much growing and development, learning to go. But yeah, like, I was absolutely fine with his performance, and he looked really, really good the more and more the game went on. He's a risk taker. He makes things happen. He works hard. He does everything you could ask him for. And when he gets that confidence and that belief in his own ability, he's a frightening player. He's a really, really frightening player and a proper asset for us to have. And I think he's really underrated by a lot of the footballing world at the moment. So I'm excited to see him get more and more opportunities, really.
Yeah, and I think that's a thing that people don't maybe appreciate is that what you just said there, the risk taken. I think if you're too safe, you pigeonholed as like a metronome type midfielder. You keep it dead simple. You don't play any risky passes. Then you've got players that, I mean, recent history. Luis Garcia was one of them for us. Who he'd always try that ball that maybe was 90% not going to work, but the 10% that did work, you get a goal from it, and you can make something happen from it. And I think Curtis Jones is in that mold where, similar to Harvey Elliott, he'll get on the ball, he'll make stuff happen, but he's also got really good ball retention as well. I think people do forget that the fact that he's got that low centre of gravity, he can make stuff happen, he can keep hold of the ball. And like you said, nowhere near the finished article. There's loads of progression, and under Klopp, like if Klopp's obviously sticking around for the next 2 years and hopefully longer, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Curtis Jones. But yeah, he was a good a positive on a very positive night, I thought, in terms of his performance. But in terms of the game, then let's get stuck into obviously the game itself. 15 minutes in, Mo Salah opens the scoring with a penno. I mean, I was in the ground, and when it kind of happened in real time, I was like, I'm not sure about it in terms of if the defender meant to hit his arm, but I think when I got home and saw the replay, it was a stonewall, weren't it? And you back anyone, if you're going to back anyone in world football to score a pen, I think it's Mo Salah, isn't it?
Yeah, like, you know, he steps up. He always seems to score. I can't actually remember a time where he missed. I feel like he's missed maybe one for us, but I couldn't tell you when it is. You know, you're filled with confidence every time he steps up for a penalty. And the penalty itself, it's one of those, like, you know, it's unfortunate. You can see how it's happened and how the defenders ended up letting it happen, but it gets given every day of the week these days, doesn't it? Like, you know, his arms are out in front of his body, in an unnatural position, as they call it. I mean, look at the one at the weekend in the Spurs City game. That was a lot more blatant than the one in the Spurs City game for me. And if you're going to, you know, getting things given like the one at the weekend in that game, then it was stonewall, really. And like I say, Mo Salah steps up, and it's only going one place. You're 99% sure it's only going one place, and that's in the back of the net.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it was like, I think I said, I've done a preview on another channel. I was like, we need to get an early goal. And I think 15 minutes, and obviously we get on to the second goal, which happens bang on at 30 minutes. And the impossible happened. The impossible finally happened. Joel Matip finally goes on one of them mazy runs, plays a 1-2 with Mo Salah, which just sounds mad. Like, he runs into midfield, plays a 1-2 with the right winger, and then carries on running and just slots it. It was about time, weren't it? I think it's happened pretty much all season, where Joel's on these mad runs, and he gets to the edge of the box and he fluffs it, or he plays a pass that maybe he should shoot. And yeah, it was nice to see, weren't it? It was like a proper crowning moment that Joel Matip finally happened for him, and it's kind of gives him the enthusiasm to maybe go and do it again.
Yeah, it's been coming for such a long time, hasn't it? Like, such a long time. The amount of times he's gone on them mazy runs forward. And what impressed me the most is how he looks so natural doing it. When he, like, you know, it's one thing giving the pass off to Mo to then carry on that run, get in that position, and the finish as well. It was, you know, finish that a striker would be proud of. He looked so confident and composed the way he did it. And it was sort of like a Lampard-esque, Gerrard-esque sort of, you know, that late run into the box. Like, it just looks so natural, which is the freakiest thing for a centre back, really, isn't it? But yeah, like I say, it's been coming for so long. We're just waiting for the time he doesn't even pass it off and just goes on one of these messy type runs and just slaloms his way from the centre circle to the 6-yard box and puts it in the back of the net. No, that's next on his to-do list, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's so hard to stop, though, because he's so gangly and whatever. And I saw a stat earlier from Empire of the Cop. Shout out to them for this one. Of all the players in the Premier League to attempt at least 10 dribbles this season, Joel Matip has the highest completion percentage with 91.7%. For a centre half, it's fucking incredible, isn't it?
He never loses. Like, he might misplace a pass, but if he's dribbling with the ball, he will never lose it. It just sticks to him, and like, it's so mad. Like, it doesn't look like it should be physically possible, the way he sort of glides with the ball in a way. It's so crazy. but yeah, he's just so good with it. He's so good with what he does. And the amount of times, like, that's what sort of carries us out of the press. It's what sort of, takes us from, like, that sort of, just keeping the ball, passing it about to, the start of creating a chance. It's such a big part in the way we play. And I think it's something that we actually missed, last season, along with Virgil van Dijk's diagonal passes. When Matip was out of the squad, we missed his sort of, ball carrying ability from the back. And this has been well documented. Even though we were missing half our defence, it was scoring the goals last season we had a problem with. And, that's come back this season with Virgil and Matip coming back into the squad. And I think they both carry a lot more importance for us going forward than a lot of people actually give them credit for, really. There must be so many times when Matip sort of found himself, within the opposition half where something happens because someone else has to commit, someone else has to come out when he's just, step past their centre forward as if they're not even there. And it makes things happen. It's such a dangerous little tool to have, and not one that many clubs in world football are blessed with. So we're very lucky to have him. And yeah, he's so good. It's like so underrated.
Yeah. I think even like when Joe Gomez was in that position, I think he was good at it as well, to bringing it out from the back like that. And it always seems to be that right hand side of the centre half that it can go on those mazy runs, and Verge just goes, yeah, I'll just stay here and mop up anything that happens. But I think Gomez did it when he was in the team, and I think even Kanate does it to an extent as well. But I think, like you said, Matip does it to like the ultimate perfection levels where he's literally unstoppable. And like Yuki said there in the comments, a proper finish by Matip finally. Like, yeah, it was boss to see. But we go 3-0 up after 35 minutes, and it's another Mo Salah pen. Sadio Mane is pretty much through on goal, and he gets chopped down. And I think this penalty, I mean, I have this thing about Salah with pens that I never feel confident, just because the way he runs, the way he steps up to it, it's just unnaturally. I just don't expect it to go, and even though I do and I don't, I'm like, he's going to score, but I just don't like the run up. It just freaks me out a little bit.
100%.
The finish is unbelievable, isn't it? The second pen,
like the confidence to put it in the same corner, but just give it that little bit of lift to stick it in the top corner. It's such a good finish. Like, it's such a good finish. Just sticking it in that top corner. It takes real bottle to do that as well. Like, especially after taking a penalty earlier in the game against Meslier, who's a very good keeper as well. Like I say, it's just a bottle on him. Like, to have the balls on him to do that is like, I'd be bricking it. Like, I'd be bricking it, thinking like, right, I'm going to go the same way I went last time, but this time I'm just going to put it a bit higher. I'm going to stick it in that top bin, and the keeper's not getting anywhere near it, even if he reads where I'm going this time. Because obviously, he just sent him the wrong way the first time round. Second time, keeper guessed right, but didn't give him a chance. No keeper saving it. Like, where he put it, no keeper on the planet is saving it.
Yeah, I think so. I think someone put a tweet like, it's that Salah per second penalty is like one of the best he's ever seen. And I tend to agree. Like, it's like you said, it's one of them where you could play it safe and just kind of nestle it bottom corner like he did with the first one, but to hit it with that power and that accuracy, that's why he is where he is in world football, and the stature that he's gained over the last couple of years. And we're going to get onto his goal scoring and unbelievable stats in a bit, but yeah, so that kind of rounded off the first half. Obviously, we had quite a few chances in that first half as well. But to get to half time, 3-0 up, that was that. I went downstairs, got myself a little pint. I was like, thank fuck, we've because I was expecting it to maybe be a little bit more difficult than that. I was expecting it maybe to get to half time, maybe 1-0 up. But I just thought 3-0 up, we could kind of play a bit more expressively, I thought, after that, in terms of coming out. And obviously Leeds weren't going to ever alter what they did in terms of their setup. We know what Bielsa's all about, like man-to-man, just craziness, run all over the pitch. But 3-0 half-time, it was looking pretty good, wasn't it, from there on out?
Yeah, well, like the way we play, it plays into it. Once we got that first or second goal, you always back us to get 3, 4, 5, really, because once those teams really have to come out, like, it's like, right, over to you, like, you come to us, pull your whole team out, like, no more deep line, no more defensive shape, really. In yesterday's case, it plays into our hands because we're like, right, come on, you come forward and we'll exploit those spaces that are in behind you. There's not many teams in world football that are more comfortable when 2-3 goals up, to be honest, because it works in our favour. Like, if we've already got 2 or 3 goals and then they've got to be more attacking, more open, then it's always going to play into Liverpool's hands with the way we play, with the pace we've got, with the quality of passing that we've got in the team. Like, it's sort of one of them, isn't it? 3-0 up at half time against Leeds, you just know the game's wrapped up. Like, even if they did get 1, even if they got 2, we're going to punish them another couple of times if they're gonna really come out and not, just settle for the result, which they didn't do, to be fair to them. They did try and get forward in that second half. They did try and make things happen a couple of times where they got into the final third. But yeah, like it didn't really amount to much for them, unfortunately for them. But as I say, it just plays into our hands beautifully.
Yeah, definitely. And Ben just put a comment in. I've only seen Salah take a penalty whilst at Anfield once and he missed it. I'm well aware how Mick feels about Salah's run up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever feel... I don't know. When Millie takes a pen, I'm just like, yeah, he's going to score. But with Salah, I don't know how many more pens he needs to score for me to feel safe. I don't know what it is. But yeah, 3-0 half time. I mean, I wasn't going to show the stats now, but let's have a little look at the stats, obviously. Let me just get them up for us here. So let's go. So yeah, you've got 64% possession, 23 shots, 15 on target, 4 corners. So in terms of that, like when I usually look at our stats, and I don't often, to be fair, unless we've absolutely battered someone, it's usually a case of half of those shots are on target. Like it usually be something along the lines of 23 shots and say 11 on target or 12 on target. So to get up to 15, I just feel like that's another thing that we're potentially getting better as, having the shots we're taking are more suited to the fact that they might go in. There's a higher probability they might go in rather than taking pot shots from 30 yards with maybe the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain on the field might do. But those stats are promising, aren't they, in terms of how well we did overall?
100%. Like I've said quite a lot, like, it's quite mad to think that, like, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, with the goals they scored, they're not actually the most clinical players. Like, they create a lot of chances for themselves. But they have a lot of shots, and they miss a lot of shots as well as scoring them. So, like, I completely echo what you say there. Like, every time I seem to look at our stats, the shots on target are way off the actual overall shots. So it's really nice to see that we were so clinical last night, and making sure, like, end of the day, you're never going to score a shot that's off target. So to be hitting the target more with those efforts and getting in those areas where we can be a bit more dangerous, rather than, like, say, pot shots and just sort of hoping for the best. Against some teams, it's really difficult because if you're playing a deep line block, like the game against Burnley is one that I think of, where I think we had quite a lot of shots off target in that game. So it's really nice to sort of see, we are carving these chances out in all sorts of ways and working the keeper, because end of the day, if you don't work the keeper, you're simply not going to score. So yeah, really, really positive. Like, obviously the possession is fantastic, controlled the game from start to finish against the team that works as hard as Leeds United do. It's always positive as well. So yeah, it was just a really, really good performance all round to, really, really put them in their place. Like,
didn't get on to second gear either. I didn't think, like, we didn't even seem to like we just felt like it was completely in control from minute one. And obviously, like, I think 70 odd minutes, Thiago, who was also immense in the game. Like, he's just got the ball on the string, hasn't he? Like, we can do a whole fucking 60 minutes on Thiago, to be fair. But Thiago goes off and Hendo comes on, which I suppose, like, I think Klopp done an interview a couple of days ago, talking about Thiago and maybe limiting his game time, not in terms of not playing every game, but maybe playing 60, coming off for the last half an hour, or not starting, coming on for the last 40 or 35 minutes, whatever, something like that. So it was nice to see him come off and to Hendo to come on. And I think it took, 10 minutes for Hendo to have that impact. I think 80th minute, Sadio Mane gets the 4th. And I think that it might be my favourite one of the lot, to be honest, just because I think it was a typical... I mean, I imagine you're going to be the most happy about this one because it's come from their goalie. Hendo wins it back in typical Hendo fashion. And Salah gets it, and the ball Salah plays to Hendo is just literally, he waits until Hendo's perfectly still onside, but in a position where he knows that all he'll have to do is square it to Sadio Mane. and the ball he plays is ridiculous. And then similarly, Hendo in the position he's in plays a similarly boss ball to Sadio Mane to get his first. And yeah, it was a quality goal, wasn't it, to get us 4-0 up.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head in the sort of phrase of a Jurgen Klopp goal. It had everything. It's exactly the way that Jurgen Klopp likes to play football. Aggressive, fast, but then beautiful at the same time. The quality of the pass, the choice of the pass. Getting in their faces, making things really difficult for them. Getting in behind them after getting the turnover of possession. It was. Like I say, you've literally hit the nail on the head when you say it was a Jurgen Klopp goal, because we've seen so many of those goals since he arrived at Anfield, haven't we? It's just so typical. That's the thing. There's not much more to say about it other than that. It was just the most typical Liverpool goal that you could wish for, really.
Yeah, it was boss. And as Ben says here, Henderson's been pretty damn good the last two outings, which. Henderson's standards are obviously really high, and he did drop those a little bit, but I think he has had a point to prove. Last couple of games we've seen a rejuvenated Hendo, which is boss for everyone, because it shuts the little knobheads up on Twitter.
Yeah,
and it also
managed the
gives
situation perfectly, hasn't he? He's managed it absolutely perfectly, and again, that comes from players being fit, getting back into the team. Lots of games coming thick and fast. Everyone with a point to prove. Everyone wanted to get into the team. And the way he's managing the squad in terms of everyone getting minutes, everyone getting their chances, it's working so incredibly well. For someone who, for a very long period, did work with an extremely thin squad with a very weak bench, he's showing a real, another string to his bow, if you like. Managing, a squad with much more quality and depth and strength in depth. But still, at the same time, you don't feel like anyone's being frozen out, really. You don't feel like anyone isn't getting their chance, and you don't feel like there's any real drop off. Like you said before, when Henderson come on, he just fit the role Thiago's playing like a glove, really. He sort of replaced that creativity. So it's a credit to Klopp, because he's obviously seen Henderson dropping off, manage that situation, and we're seeing the best from Jordan Henderson again, and we're seeing that with you can replace Jordan Henderson's name with many others in the team. That's the thing. We just look so strong at the moment, and there's just nothing but positives with the way the whole thing's everything's going, and that's all down to Klopp and his management of the players and everything that comes with that, really.
Yeah, and obviously the signing of Diaz, and we haven't even touched on him yet. But what did you make of Diaz's performance just before we get into the last couple of goals? I thought he was personally just absolutely unbelievable. I think he's the perfect blend of a perfect Klopp player, but he's also got that cheekiness and that strength to kind of get by a player. And he was pulling out the party tricks towards the end. He was flicking it over someone's head, and he's just like a breath of fresh air. Is a proper cliche as fuck term, but it's literally that, isn't it?
He's fantastic. It's literally like he was custom made for Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp's team. Straight away on his debut, he comes on and he creates a goal from pressing. It was a Cardiff player, wasn't it? Right on their sort of their touch line, and he's there pressing the ball. Immediately you can see it, and you're like, this lad's going to fit. And every single time he plays for us, come away thinking this lad is perfect for us. He's absolutely perfect. He's got a lot of the Sadio Mane about him, the pace, the power, the strength, and all that. But then he's got a bit of the Bobby Firmino sort of repertoire of tricks and things up his sleeve. He's such a fun player to watch, and I think he's going to become an absolute fan favorite at Anfield. It's such a good signing, such an incredible to pull off that signing for the price we paid for him in January in the middle of the season is it's second to none. It's one of the signings of the season, in terms of what we needed and what we went and got and what we've already got out of it. He's produced more than some of last summer's biggest signings. He's probably done more for Liverpool than Sancho has for Manchester United. And that's how well he's hit the ground running. And it's so rare that you see a player just take a duck to water when they come to a new club, especially in the middle of the season. But he's done exactly that. We are no weaker for having him in that front line. Instead of at the moment Jota or Firmino. But if you want to drop Mane onto the bench or Salah onto the bench, we're not worse off for it. He's a fantastic signing, and he's going to have a brilliant career at Liverpool. And like I say, I'm sure the Cop are going to have many amazing songs about him. He's got that sort of feel about him, like when Suarez arrived, when Salah arrived. Like he's got that sort of special player impact, and straight away there seems to be something there that you're like, yeah, this lad's going to go far with us.
Yeah, I think it helps as well, though, doesn't it? Like in terms of Klopp having quite a defined team in terms of every position's quite refined, and if you've got certain qualities, it'll work. It's not like a Man U where they're just signing players and going, right, we'll put him on the left wing, see how that works out. It's get Diaz in, defined left hand side of the three. We know what he's about. He ticks the boxes if he comes in, and he then learns the role as he's doing it. And he's already performing it to a really high level. The fact that he's only been here for such a short amount of time, the fact that he can go up so many more levels. He's only 25. Jota's only just turned 25. It's fucking incredible, really, to be honest. But I mean, I said before we could do a Thiago pod for 60 minutes. We could do a fucking pod on Luis Diaz, to be honest, even in the short time he's been here. But 90 plus 1, Sadio Mane gets his second of the game and his 11th goal of the season. That was another little nice goal. Obviously, Divock Origi gets on the pitch as well and is basically one-on-one with the keeper. The keeper makes a good save, to be fair, and Sadio is just there, ready to poach it in, and that's what you want from your striker, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Like, Divock's come on. He's made a difference. He's made an impact as he has so many times in the past, and he's been really good this season when he's got involved. So I want to give him credit where it's due, because like a lot of people were writing him off 12 months ago or so, and it looks like he might leave us in the summer with his contract coming to an end. But I've been really impressed whenever he's come into the team, whether it be off the bench or filling in the cup games and stuff. And once again, like it's not his goal, but he's made something happen. He's done the hard yards for Sadio to essentially have a tap in. And Mane's goal record for itself, speaks volumes. For someone who, again, a lot of people are saying he's past his best and he's not having his best season, this, that, and the other. Well, considering he had a month away at AFCON and he's still one of the top 3 goal scorers in the league, like it just shows the level that these boys are at. It shows the level that Liverpool are at. Like we are very much up there with the best teams, with the best players in the world. A lot of people seem to think like, the honeymoon period of when we won the Champions League and the Premier League. And, a lot of people like to make out that quite a few of those players are past it. And I think Sadio Mane's been overshadowed a lot with all the Mo Salah contract saga and all that sort of stuff. A lot of people are trying to say it's one or the other, this, that, or whatever. And yeah, like, Mane's just come in and he's silenced all that. He's come back from AFCON full of confidence and he's looked back to his best the last few weeks. I really feel sorry for Jurgen having to pick that front line when everyone's fit, because they're all firing. They're all on absolute fire at the moment. Bobby, when he's played, again, someone who's had criticism when he's played over the last sort of 6 to 12 months, maybe. He's been coming in, doing his job and looking really good. Everyone is really, really, they're at 100% at the moment. They're really at the top of their game. Like pretty much the entire squad are performing as good as they can. There's not really many players who are out of form at the moment. And Sadio is just another example of that. And the fact he's broke into that top 3 goal scorers, just like I say, it just speaks volumes of how good the lad is, and just goes to show, don't write him off, because he's a fantastic footballer, absolutely fantastic footballer, and we're very lucky to have him along with the rest of them. So to see him get a couple of goals and stuff and see him get some of that love again was lovely to see.
Yeah, and I thought we might as well, before we get onto the Verge goal, we might as well have a little look at those stats, because you've got their top goal scorers this season. You've obviously got Mo Salah there, 19 goals, 10 assists, fucking ridiculous. I think that's the same goals and assists that he got in the whole of the season we won the Premier League. Just try and digest that for a minute. That he's done that this so far with 10 games less played. It's absolutely, it's mental. It's absolutely fucking mental, because he played for 34 games in the title winning season. Goals per 90, 0.82. Goal conversion 25%. Shot accuracy 63%. Then you've got Diogo Jota, 12 goals. Another, like you said, we've talked about Salah, Mane, and Diaz, and Jota's and Firmino, and Jota's just another one who's like to have all 5 of them in the same team, and the fact that they're all pretty much firing all cylinders. Obviously, Bobby and Jota are injured at the moment, but Jota might be fit for Chelsea, hopefully. But like Jota there, you've got 12 goals, 1 assist, goal conversion 24%, so quite similar to Salah there, and shot accuracy a little bit less. But I think he's a bit. Salah's kind of got a lot better at that in terms of knowing, like I said before, in terms of our shots on target compared to shots. I think he's got a lot better at assessing the situation and having shots that maybe have got more chance of going in, whereas he maybe used to take a load more that maybe he's got no chance of scoring from and taking risks. But and then you've got Sadio Mane there in third, like you said, 11 goals, 1 assist. Played 23, goal conversion 24%, so the same as Jota, a little bit less than Sadio and Mo Salah, and then shot accuracy of 59%. It's just nice to see that, isn't it? Look at like all those three there. I mean, Jota's shot accuracy is the only thing that you could go, well, that can be worked upon, and when that's bettered, how many is he going to fucking score then? It's craziness, isn't it?
It's madness, and this is the luxury we've got right now. One or two of them might not be having the best game, but you've got goals in the third. Whoever the third forward is on the pitch that day, there's goals coming. There's goals coming from all different areas of the pitch, and especially across that front line. I'd be interested to see how often this has actually been a thing where 3 players from one club have all dominated the top 3 goal scorers in the league. So I can imagine it's not very often, and a league with the quality of the Premier League as well. It's just phenomenal. Things like this just go to show how lucky we are to be experiencing what we are right now. To have the quality of players we've got right now is just ridiculous. And I'm pretty sure on the assists as well, I think we've got the top 3 for those as well, which is just makes it even more crazy.
Yeah, well, we can have a look at that quick. So we've got Salah and Trent are both level with 10, and then Robbo is in third, but technically second, I suppose, with 9. And then look at like chances created per 90, like Trent like 2.43, and then you look at like some Bowen, who's having a superb season. We know how good Andy Robertson is in terms of creating chances. He's just set the bar to a completely different level, hasn't he, Trent? He's fucking ridiculous.
I saw earlier he's now hit double figures for assists in a Premier League season, the same amount as Ozil and Hazard combined. I haven't fact checked it, so I can't say 1,000,000%, but that is what I read earlier, and that just goes to show how ridiculous it is. 2 players who are regarded as some of the greatest creators this league's ever seen, and he's made them look like light work. I saw something recently as well, the freakish thing with Trent as well. He does it in really big games. Like I saw a chart of goals for Big 6 teams against Big 6 teams and so on, or goal involvement, should I say? And I think Trent was third for goal involvements against top 6 teams, which he's a fucking right back. He's a right back, and he has such a big influence on the way we play, and he's such a big reason for us getting as many goals as we do, creating as much as we do. Like 2.43 chances per 90 is just absolute madness, isn't it? It makes it even better that he's just a lad from West Derby. The fact he's come through the academy and come through into the first team makes it even better. Imagine how much he'd cost. Imagine how much a Trent Alexander-Arnold would cost. You'd be looking at world record transfer fees, and we got him for nothing. We're so lucky to have him, and he just seems to get better and better as well. You got the stupid England fan argument. He can't defend. He looks better and better defending every time you watch him at the moment. Yeah. He's getting stronger and stronger. Not that I thought he was a complete weakness as people make it out to be anyway. He's just a phenomenon. And he's going to go down as one of this league's best ever players, arguably already this league's best ever right back. Which is just, again, ridiculous for a lad who's in his early 20s. It's just madness. The fact he doesn't get a sniff with the England squad or whatever is just shows how much of a mess that setup is.
I'm happy with that though. I'm happy.
Oh yeah, it works for me. It works.
I'm happy for him to go to England, not play, come back fresh. Like everyone else thinking it's like you said, that myth about he can't defend. It's literally stemming from the fact that he got rinsed by Rashford, like how long ago? 4 years ago. And it's just kind of, that's the that's what everyone bases it on. Like he's got rinsed by a few good wingers, Sane a couple of times, but then he's had good games against Leroy Sane back in the day. So
the Champions League final we lost, he had Ronaldo in his pocket that night.
yeah,
You know, if it weren't for two goalkeeping howlers, people are talking about how ridiculous he was defensively against Cristiano Ronaldo at the peak of his powers.
Doesn't fit the narrative, does it? That's the thing.
No, like it's ridiculous. Like, you know, he plays a ridiculous, like, you know, he does a ridiculous amount. Like, you know, he's up and down that right hand side so much every single game. He can't be all the way up that right hand side all the time at once. And, you know, the way we play traditionally, you know, we look like we're struggling when teams are on the counter. The players aren't actually struggling, but it looks like we're struggling. It looks like we're up against it all of a sudden. But the same thing happens. Like, you know, Inter Milan, how apparently Inter Milan were a very good team and had us pinned back this, that, the other. They didn't have a shot on target. Like, you know, people like just because we played quite open, like Burnley again, like the commentators talk about the amount of chances they had. They're offside for all of them. You know, the way we defend is very different to the way a lot of other teams defend. A lot of people class, you know, good defender as in a Wan-Bissaka, like, you know, someone who can put a tackle in when they're 1v1, when they've got their whole back four sat in their own 18-yard box. We, like, you know, our back four more often than not defend more or less a half of the pitch on their own at times. You know, they've got much more ground to cover.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they are so freakishly good that people get forward into thinking, oh, they'll be exposed, this, that, the other. But we don't get exposed. Like, you know, these players get clean sheet after clean sheet, concede very few chances game after game. Like, you know, that whole back line are incredibly solid defensively, and obviously Fabinho in front of them as well, who's worth his weight in gold as well. Like, yeah, it's just, I think it's people watch the way we play and they think, oh, if my team did that, like say a United fan watches it and they think, oh, imagine Harry Maguire doing that, he'd be on his arse and would be conceding. Like, because they haven't got the players of the quality to do what we do, people think it's risky. People think it's exposing ourselves when it's not at all. It's just, you know, we're like, you know, our team is coaching a certain way. Klopp has picked certain players to join the club. And obviously, you know, Trent coming through is just an added bonus. And it works perfectly. You know, we've got one of the best defenses in world football. And right now, we've probably got the best attack in world football, hands down. And, you know, our defense, if it isn't already the best, is not far off.
Yeah, and like we said before, with Jota and Diaz being 25, Trent's only, I think he's 24 in October. So the levels that he can reach as well himself, like, is scary. It's absolutely terrifying. But touching on obviously defence and playing the high line and whatever else, but Virgil van Dijk then gets a goal himself, 90+3, ball in by Robbo, and Virgil gets on the score sheet, and I think that made him level with Lee Sharp in terms of 59 consecutive home Premier League games unbeaten. So one more game unbeaten at Anfield in the Premier League for Virgil van Dijk, and he's got a record, which would be 60 games, and hopefully he'll get. I'm hoping he'll go 60, 70, 80, get as high as he can. But yeah, it was nice that it rounded it off nicely, didn't it? That with the Virgil goal, nice 6-0. Obviously, lower the chances created by us, so it was nice to put another one in the back of the net and get that shot target ratio up in terms of scoring goals. But it was nice to see Virgil back on the score sheet as well, wasn't it?
100%. I think I saw a little stat earlier as well that it's the second time two centre backs have scored at Anfield ever, and I think the other time was in the 60s. And then the only other time two centre backs have scored, like both centre backs have scored for Liverpool. The only other time it was Lovren and it might have been Matip.
I think Lovren and Matip, yeah.
Lovren and Matip a few years ago against Palace, I want to say
2016, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, nice to see him get that goal and get another little record under their belts is always nice. Like, it feels like after every Liverpool game at the minute you're just seeing this record, that record, like, you know, just these mad stats and facts, which are just so interesting to read, and it just shows you the level that we're at the moment. I mean, Leeds made it really easy for Virgil. You can't give him a free header like that. Like, it'll punish you. I feel like he did it against Leeds opening day last season as well. They just left him completely open. They just stuck it in the back of the net. But you can forgive them for sort of taking their eye off the ball in the 93rd minute at 5-0 already.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just a beast, isn't he? Like, he's just an absolute monster. And it's
think
no surprise that, you know, we've got such a good home record with him there, because
exactly,
he's just a joke. He's just an absolute joke. And the fact people doubt him, the fact people are like, oh, how will he come back from his injury? This, that, the other. He's come back like he weren't even away.
Yeah, the last 5 games is like, I mean, he was still amazing, but the last like I think it's been like the last four, 5, 6 games where he's been like, there's Virgil van Dijk. That's the Virgil van Dijk before the injury, like just effortless. Like obviously Burnley up against 6'6" Weghorst, it was obviously going to be 50-50 every time a ball was fucking thrown up and you're going up against him in the air, but he handled him so well, and he's just been back to his best. And it's nice to see him get on the score sheet. I think in terms of like him scoring, I don't think he gets picked up because I just feel like teams just think, well, we can't mark him because he's too good in the air. We'll just try and zonally, if it goes in there, we'll get it.
Yeah.
But you can't. That's what I mean. It was perfect, and you just said like records, and it seems to happen like every 2 or 3 games. Mo Salah gets another record. Like he got like a Champions League one with 8 consecutive away goals in the Champions League. Mo Salah
like most goals or goal involvements by an African this week as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Overtook Drogba's record for
Overtook
one or the
Drogba,
other.
yeah. I think it was 170 and Drogba was 169 or something like that.
Yeah, and it's for like 70 games less as well, or
Yeah.
something stupid like that. Like
it's but I just thought before we talk about the Chelsea game a little bit, that we just have a look at Mo Salah's but basically the all-time, I won't put that on there because we can't see Mo Salah's name. There we go. So this is the all-time Liverpool goal scorers list. This is on LFChistory.net. I go on this every day. It's boss. So you can have a look and see what's on there. There's loads of stats on there. But obviously you've got Ian Rush at the top there. Just fucking crazy amounts of goals. Like it's just unbelievable. But you go down not that far, and you've got Mo Salah, who's recently broken into the top 10 here in 9th. 152 goals in 234 appearances. And for me, the thing that stuck out for me is, one, he's got the best ratio, obviously, of goals to games in the top 10, which is just fucking mental. But also the fact that he's only 6 behind Michael Owen in like 63 games less. It's craziness, isn't it?
Well, it's mental. Like 20 behind Kenny Dalglish as well. Like it's just like, and the crazy thing is, I wouldn't put it past him somehow catching that. Like, what, 12 games left in the league, FA Cup, Champions League, final on Sunday. Like, he's just a goal scoring machine. Like, you see people debating him between these, good, but you Bale, like Bale's the one that they're talking about this week, or it's Hazard, or it's Sanchez, or it's that the other, and they're not even close, are they? Like, there's not many people Liverpool football I've ever seen that are as good as this lad. Like, he's just a goal machine. Like, he's like that record right in front of me. Like, I literally don't know how to describe it, because it's just inhuman. Like, like when people describe Messi as an alien, Salah's not far off that. What I mean?
It's machine-like, isn't it? It's literally machine-like, just how good he is. And like you said there, 6 off Owen, 20 off Kenny. He's 31 off Robbie Fowler.
And these are some of the greatest goal scorers our club have ever seen, and he's right up there with these names now. Like, he obviously he's already a Liverpool legend, but he's just going to keep going on to achieve more and more and more. Like, Robbie Fowler is one of the best goal scorers myself and you would have ever seen.
Yeah,
he was an absolute joke. Like, could finish anything. Just an absolute nightmare for defenders to face, and he's making Fowler's record look average. What I mean? Like, this is what he does. He's making very, very good players sort of achievements and stats look average. That's how good this lad is. Like we say, like Michael Owen, he won a Ballon d'Or. He was scoring for fun. He's an absolute arsewipe these days. But like, it makes it easy to forget just how good he was for us. And the fact he's going to just absolutely wipe his records aside, like it was easy.
Like it's nothing, basically.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Like, like sort of when I was growing up, Michael Owen was sort of like the first player I really sort of like, grew to sort of love coming into football. He was that sort of star man. Like, that's he was that guy at that point in world football. Like I say, he was winning Ballon d'Ors. He was, scoring 2 goals when we were up against it in an FA Cup final, and Salah makes him look shit. Like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And at this point this season, he's two goal involvements ahead of where he was this point in the season where he broke that goal record. So he's well on course to break that goal record again. and shut even more of these Twitter idiots that think he's a glorified this, that, whatever, one season wonder. Remember that one?
Season wonder,
yeah. He just keeps proving every critic wrong, and just lets his feet do the talking, lets his football do the talking. He got his country, Egypt, who, by the way, were terrible, to an AFCON final, and he's come back and he's got a point to prove. That was very clear when he came straight back into training, and he really had, we knew what was coming. Me, you, and a lot of Liverpool fans knew exactly what was coming, and he's showing it now. He's come back, on absolutely frightening form, the way he was before he left. He loves having a point to prove. Mo Salah loves having a point to prove, and he's the sort of person who will look at these sort of records we're looking at now, and he'll be like, right, which one's next? That's the sort of person he is. He's very driven to be the best, which is what makes him such a special player in some ways. So yeah, he's just going to keep breaking these records until he physically can't run anymore. He's going to keep breaking more and more records, and until then, we're going to be seeing Sky Sports putting things out. Only Mo Salah. Only Mo Salah. Because it's all you see.
Yeah.
They just try and talk about someone else, like they're desperate to talk about Kane or whoever, and it's like only Mo Salah.
I love the only Mo Salah Simpsons one, where it's like, say the line, only Mo Salah. I've got that in my favourites just for fucking any given moment. But I think, like you said there, I think he is obsessed with breaking records, because I think after the game where he scored his 150th, and I think he was the second fastest after Roger Hunter reached that. Yeah, and he was made up, and then he was like, "Oh, you're the second fastest," and he was like, "Oh, who was the fastest in how many games?" He's proper inquisitive and wanting to know who's better than him, who's been better than him over the years, and it's you could never have predicted, when we signed Mo Salah, the heights that he's reached. It's absolutely crazy. But I want to give a shout out to Sadio Mane as well. Obviously, you go down there, number 15, 110 goals. Look who's below him here. You go further down.
Look at that record compared to John Barnes, one of the best wingers this club's ever seen, and he's bettered his goal record in just over half the games.
And what always strikes me about it is Sadio Mane scored no penalties for us. That's 110 goals, non-penalties. I don't know what John Barnes is on. I think John Barnes scored over 10 anyway, over 10 pens, which helps. But to do it in 248 games, and John Barnes done it in 407, and the way John Barnes is revered, and I think we're just at the point where players are just they're absolutely top quality. And we're just so spoiled that obviously when Sadio Mane is having a dip in form, or he's not quite the same as the Premier League winning year or whatever else when he first joined, when he was a bit more unpredictable. And like you said before, Diaz is kind of a reincarnate of that, in terms of he's got that same unpredictability now. But Sadio Mane will go down as one of the best players we've ever had, and just because I think he's just kind of looked upon maybe a bit less because he's in the same team as Mo Salah, and Mo Salah's just fucking another level. But if we didn't have Salah, we'd be looking at Sadio Mane going, he's the best thing we've signed.
Even more goals, and he'd have even more goals if Mo Salah wasn't there. At the end of the day, everyone can't have all the goals. Salah's taking up goals that Mane might have got. If Salah isn't here, Mane maybe takes pens, like you were saying, and stuff like that. Although, he's not proven to be a given from the spot, and that's why he doesn't take them. But yeah, to think he's got those numbers while playing alongside Mo Salah, the free goal scorer he is. People always talk about Karim Benzema at Real Madrid and how his numbers sort of suffered because he played alongside Cristiano Ronaldo. Sadio Mane haven't suffered at all. He again, he's just a machine, and it goes for both players. I've had conversations with Dad over the years, and I remember specifically when we played against City when Mo Salah first signed, and I remember me and my dad saying to each other, "Imagine he was clinical," and then he adds that to his game, and he's gone on to do all the ridiculous things he has. And I'm sure a lot of Liverpool fans have said the same thing about Sadio Mane as well. Imagine some of the chances he's missed, because both of them, they're absolute machines, because you can accept them missing chances because they create so much themselves. They make so many things happen through, how hard they work, their desire, their ability, everything rolled in. You can't not love either of them, because as a fan, they're everything you want. They not only do they bring results and good performances and goals and all this, but they work their bollocks off every time they're on the pitch, and they want to win, just as much or even more than we do. It means absolutely everything to them. And I've been doing social media work on like certain Man United channels at the minute, and their fans can't stand their players at the minute, and it just makes when I'm looking at that and I'm working on that and sort of reviewing it all, it makes me appreciate how lucky we are to have such a tight knit group of players who are so in cohesion with the fans. I think with the way things are at the moment, it's very easy to forget that not many clubs are that lucky to have such a a tight bond and affiliation with their players, and their players playing for the badge and for the fans and stuff. We are very lucky in that sense, and those two are the absolute benchmark of everything our squad right now represents and are really. They're going to be both. They're going to be in a lot of people's all-time Liverpool 11s. Put it that way. They will go down as absolute legends of the club. Until the day everyone who's alive now is gone, and even beyond that, they are part of Liverpool history forever. Those names we're looking at on that list there, they are that. They are Kevin Keegan's, they are Kenny Dalglish's, they are Ian Rush's, they are Steven Gerrard's, and so on and so forth. They are they're some of the biggest names this club will ever see. So they're getting older. We've just got to keep appreciating them while we can, keep loving them while we can, because hopefully, the next crop, your Diaz's and your Jotas and Harvey Elliott's and stuff come in and they do, they carry on the legacy that they've created. But it's just all about enjoying them while we can at the minute, because we won't half miss them when they go.
Yeah, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be hard to live up to those. But I mean, with Diaz, I think we sign really well, don't we? Like Klopp and the scouting team don't tend to miss, which is why it's so nice when we do sign someone, because we know pretty sure that they're going to be fucking amazing. So that's the good thing.
Yeah, it's even more promising with Diaz as well, isn't it? Because Michael Edwards' replacement was apparently the one that handled it all and sort of carried that out start to finish. So even though Mickey Edwards is moving on in the summer, it bodes extremely well for the future. Klopp's job until his contract runs out is to regenerate this team and create the next legacy for Liverpool, and you can already see that coming together more than 2 years ahead of schedule. The club are in really good hands, and a lot of people would like to try and put an argument to that, but there's just no argument to it. We're such a well-run club, incredibly well-run club from absolute top to bottom. You look at some of the it makes it even funnier that they're our rivals, but United and Everton, two absolute messes from top to bottom at the moment. And then you got us. They look at us wishing they could be us right now, in every sense, not just the players we've got, not just the manager we've got, but the board. And like I say, literally top to bottom, we're set up for a good while.
It makes it even better, doesn't it? Obviously, after the United being so good in the 90s, and we were looking wistfully over at Manchester going, oh, fucking hell, we hate them. But they've got the best manager and they've got the best players. And it's nice that it's now reversed, because when you're kind of in that moment, when you're in your teens or whatever, and you're having to fucking put it with Manx, just with all the banter and whatever else, and getting beat every match with them, and you just kind of will this ever end? And the fact that it has, and it has quite recently, and we're now seeing that flipped, that makes it better. That makes it more sweeter, doesn't it?
Yeah, you think back to a few years ago, was it on that overlap where Gary Neville was like, Man United will win a title before Liverpool do?
Yeah.
And and there's loads of them, will never collapse like Liverpool did, and all this, that, the other. And like I say, I've got a strong guy in United as well for work purposes and stuff like that. But what I do, and it just shows how different things can be. Really does open your eyes to how different things can be. But we're making all the right decisions, where other clubs are making all the wrong decisions. We're making absolutely everyone spot on, and this is the thing we need to to be up there with Man City with the resources and the money, and in terms of the way they operate, they operate really well as a football club. Again, that sort of top to bottom thing, it's all very good, and that's what we need to do to be able to compete, and that's what other teams need to do to compete. If you're even 1% off it, you're not going to compete in this league anymore. So to know we're in such safe hands is it's so fulfilling, because it just makes you so not only have we had a good 4 or 5 previous years, we could be looking at another 10, great years with the way the club's set up at the moment. And signings like Diaz just, sum that up in a nutshell. It's all how many times, remember when we didn't sign Virgil van Dijk in the summer? Oh, we've got to sign a centre back. We've got to sign a centre back. They're like, no, we want who we want. We want Virgil van Dijk. We'll get him in January. And we did exactly that. And he come in and became the best centre back in the world. I think the club and their decision making have really, if you don't trust the club and their decision making at this point, then what's ever going to make you trust them? Because they get it right time and time and time again with very, very few misses. Very few. Obviously there's things like the Super League and the ticket rises and stuff like that. But again, they're things that they listened and it got dealt with. It wasn't, the right thing. And, there's still those slight questions with that sort of stuff occasionally. But in terms of their running of the football club and the on-pitch stuff, you can't fault it. You physically can't fault it anymore.
Yeah, definitely. But I just thought the last couple of minutes, because we're on, we just went over an hour there. Fucking hell! I think I said to you when we started, we'll do 20 minutes, half an hour. But yeah, let's just briefly talk about Carabao Cup. Obviously, coming up on Sunday against the fucking Chelsea bastards. Thoughts on it? I mean, I think Jota could be back if you read. I think Dominic King from Daily Mail put something up today about. He could be back, and I think Bobby's going to be out. But in terms of starting 11, what would you if Jota's fit? If he's fit, he comes back in for me. I think he does anyway. It's just too.
Chelsea, 100%.
What do you do? Do you take Diaz out of the limelight and go for the tried and tested Mane back on the left, Jota as a striker, and Salah? I think that's what I'd go for.
Probably yes, and have Diaz as that threat off the bench. I think with the way Chelsea play, they play very deep, play very defensive, and I think Jota's ability in the air and that ability to find a little pocket of space with Robbo and Trent's delivery, I think that could be massive. It could if I was to put money on a result and a goal score, it'd be 1-0 Diogo Jota header. You know what I mean. I think he could be absolutely huge if we can get him fit and ready for that final. Then it's a no-brainer. Like I said, the way Chelsea play, he's a massive, massive asset. It's all well and good with Mo, Mane, and Diaz with their pace. It's fantastic for getting in behind. Chelsea don't leave much space in behind, unfortunately. They're very much grind out results. They're not an attractive team to watch. They're efficient and they're effective, but they're not attractive and they're not expansive and they're not open. They're the few things we know what to expect with Chelsea. They are a well-oiled machine. But that does lead me to think that I think the game is in our hands. I think we can dominate possession. We can pin them back in their half. As long as we make sure we're being switched on for when the counters are coming. I do really fancy us, and I think the opportunity to set the tone for the rest of the season as well with the trophy. We're still in all the competitions. To get this at this point in the season would be a huge kick on in momentum. I mean, even if it does fall the other way and we don't win, that's just going to wind the players up. Like when we lost the Champions League to Madrid, like when we lost the league to Man City. If we don't win this trophy, for a fact we're going to win one of them later in the season. I'm really struggling to see us not winning the trophy this season personally. Obviously, there's a long way to go in 3 different competitions yet, and this is, the one that's in front of us. So I'm really hoping we do win it. But yeah, it's got that special sort of season feel about it really at the moment. And obviously, it only takes a few things for that to completely change. So, it could not happen, but what an opportunity to lay down a marker and lay down a statement. City looking at us after playing at the weekend and being like, they've just gone and won that trophy that we've won for the past 4 years. They're now coming for this. They're now coming for the Premier League. They're now coming for that Champions League that we really want. They're now coming for that FA Cup. It'll really send alarm bells over to City, especially along with other teams across the league. The fact we've now got that squad where in the League Cup games we've not been playing a full strength 11. We've not been playing our full team every single game. Keller has been fantastic in the competition. And obviously there's been a lot of debate of whether he should start or not. Klopp has said exactly what I think. I think he deserves to play. I think I think we're very lucky to have him as a number 2. I think, as far as number twos go, he's absolutely as good as you're going to get. And I think in the summer, we're probably going to have, a lot of clubs in for him and trying to get hold of him. Whether that interests him or not, I don't know.
Hopefully not.
But the way you keep him happy is by, honouring that word and getting him in this cup final. He's already played against Chelsea once this season, and he played really well in that game. It was a game of two goalkeepers, if I remember right. Even though what was it, 2-2? Was it? There was the Kovacic screamer, and then I feel like there was another one as well. But he was really good in these bit. I don't think he's ever made a mistake for us. I don't think he's ever put a foot out of line or had a particularly bad game. Bar, maybe you could question that Arsenal one a few years ago when it was 5-5 or something like that. But this is when it was.
That's when it was. I think the only one I can think of in recent memory is the Cardiff one where he comes out and he cleans out their striker and he gets a yellow for it. And
probably should have gone.
It was probably the right decision, but I think Konate was kind of there, and Konate's quick enough to have covered him. But I think that's the only time I can think of, obviously, like you said, in recent history, not going back to when he was a bit younger, that he's made a mistake, because he's such a cool head, isn't he? Like, ball at his feet, he's just
fantastic with his
feet. You don't panic. You don't panic at all, do you? So he rightly starts, doesn't he? Because obviously 100%. Klopp said he's going to, so he's not going to go back on that. Trent, so let's go. So Kelleher in goal, Trent, Matip.
Probably, you could go either or, Matip or Konate.
Matip again.
Klopp has had a thing for throwing Konate in for the big games, so it wouldn't surprise me if Konate played. You look at some of the games Konate's played this season, he's been thrown into some of the biggest fixtures, even though he's technically the second choice behind Matip. But I think I'd like to see Joel Matip play, that experienced level head. He's been here long enough. He knows everything. He's
just scored a goal as well.
Exactly. He's arguably having his best season for us. And I feel like I saw this is the longest he's ever been, continuously fit this season for us as well. Because it was always the issue with Joel Matip. I think at this time a year ago, he'd never played 6 games in a row for us. Whereas this season he's been available non-stop. So yeah,
to do with Klopp as well, because I think Klopp he's got to the point where he plays him for 3 or 4, takes him out, then puts him in 3 or 4, and I think that's why usually we're just playing him, because if like in recent years it'll be Gomez plays, gets injured, Matip comes in, and vice versa. So we just have to keep playing him because there's no alternatives. But as the minute Gomez isn't even getting a sniff, he's coming in playing right back, and after being out in the cold for a long time, and Konate's coming in and being a beast as well. So I think Sunday will be the third after. I don't think he played against Inter, so it'll be the third. Sunday will be the third game in a row for Matip. So that fits, because then he plays that one and he comes out for the next game. Konate, I think it's Norwich in the FA Cup, is it? So
yeah, on the Wednesday.
Konate, Gomez for that one. So that's easy. And then obviously you got Robbo. Midfield is going to be interesting. Obviously, Fabinho starts, Thiago starts.
I think he goes Hendo.
He goes Hendo, doesn't he?
I think it's Fabinho, Thiago, Hendo is the only one I can see. With that one, I can't really see past that, to be honest. I think at the end of the day, it's a cup final. You got your captain, you got Fabinho, you got Thiago. It
picks itself, doesn't it? Really?
The only one I could see him maybe doing is maybe giving Thiago a bit of a rest, bringing him on later in the game. Not that I'd want to see it. I'm 99% sure Henderson starts.
That'd be a huge risk, wouldn't it? That'd be a huge risk. I think on a big pitch like Wembley, I think Thiago's ball retention, the ability just to pick a pass out of absolutely nothing.
It's congested midfield against Chelsea as well. It's a different, their midfield is strong. You got Jorginho who does sit in front of the back line, and then you got, Kante, and then any of Kovacic. I think Kovacic got injured in the last game, and so did Ziyech. So it's going to be interesting to see who plays. I know Mount was injured and he was on the bench in the last game. I don't know if he came on or not, but there's a few question marks over a few players. Obviously, they're also missing Reece James and Ben Chilwell as well. So that's positive for us as well. It's no coincidence that Chelsea have struggled a bit since
they got injured.
Since those two got injured, because you look at earlier in the season, all their goals were coming from their wing backs, all of them. Obviously, Lukaku hasn't been at his best. What was it? Did you see that little Sky Sports montage about him the other day?
7 touches
against Palace, and they made a little montage for Twitter. of
The
all of his
lowest.
touches. Like
Was the lowest since Opta records began or something like that. It's like, imagine that was us. Imagine that was one of our players. He'd get absolutely rinsed. But it's just like when it's Chelsea or City, it's different because
no
they've got
one's
the
asked. They don't get the reactions because there's not the strength in numbers. If they do it
Jack
about us,
Grealish, prime example.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like that, you know, so Chelsea do have those weaknesses. Like, you know, we've got a stronger squad right now than Chelsea. Like, in my opinion, we've got a better manager than Chelsea right now, in my opinion. Starting 11, bench, they've got injuries. We've got very few injuries. Like, what we're looking at probably one if Jota's back. Bobby and that's it, which is a shame because again, against a team like Chelsea, you know, it's trickery in like, you know, in and around the box is always going to be a benefit. But you know, we've got more than capable players there to you know, to get the job done. And you know, I'm quietly confident. Like, you know, like again, you know, they are a very good team, and their efficiency is the word I always go back to with Chelsea to describe them. It's how they won that Champions League. They're efficient. That they weren't the best team in Europe last season, put it that way. They, you know, it weren't like when Madrid were dominating Europe, or like when we won the Champions League, or like, you know, if City won the Champions League last season, you could be like, all right, then probably the best team in Europe won the Champions League based on last season. But they do get results, you know, like even if it's the Club World Cup and they're scraping a 1-0 win, they, you know, they do get results over the line when they need to the most. So we definitely need to be wary of it. But as we were saying then, with the injuries to some key players, but like very key players, like Ziyech, you mentioned, is, you know, he's been brilliant for them recently.
Kovacic always seems to score the belter against us. And he is a top player. Like, I think he's the type of midfield player that does well against us because he's mobile, he's dynamic, he's quick, he's good on the ball. It's the type of energetic midfielder that if you put it up against ours, obviously Fabinho isn't the quickest, Henderson isn't the quickest. They've got a bit of speed there, but if you put a bit of pace against them, like Kante as well, then it's more of a match rather than any other midfield. So if Kovacic is out, then that's a huge.
That'd be huge for us. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so like I say, I'm quite like the logic says like we should win. We should win this game, in my opinion, with, you know, like I say, those injuries and you know how good we look at the moment. But it's a cup final, anything can happen. So we just need to make sure we turn up and make sure we do what we need to do. And I do believe if we turn up and, you know, we're at the races and, you know, fit, firing, top of our game, we win the game comfortably. It's just if we're a bit off the pace, that's when, like, you know, any issues may come. But yeah, it should be an exciting game because the way we play is going to draw Chelsea out for the counter attacks. Like, you know, the two games we've had against them this season have both been pretty exciting games. Other than the second half of the first one, it was a really good first half at Anfield, but then Reece James got that red card just before half time, and it absolutely killed the game. The game at Stamford Bridge was a fantastic game. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we can finally get Jurgen a domestic cup because, well, it's his first domestic cup final, isn't it? As well.
Was it the one against City in 2016?
Was that Rodgers?
No, I think it was 2016. Was it?
No, yes, it was Klopp. So I remember.
Yeah, 2016.
Thinking that looks fucking weird.
Yeah, again, the second year where I think it was the Caballero just saving pens, and it's like that could have been like at the time could have been like a catalyst for us to win stuff a bit sooner, I suppose. But I suppose everything happens for a reason. So fuck it.
With the thinner squads, the cups have traditionally been an afterthought in the last few years, haven't they? When we've been, you know, bigger fish to fry without the squad the size of City's, but City's squad's getting thinner, ours is getting thicker. And yeah, we're just in such a good position at the moment. That, like, you know, we are in a position where we can challenge on forefronts, and, you know, like I say, win on Sunday, we set the marker for the rest of the season. We set the tone. It's like, right, we've done it now. Let's go do it again. Let's do it again. And, you know, it'll be a really, really big kick of momentum where, like I was saying earlier on, 12 wins in the league, we'll win the league. Like, we've won the title if we win those 12 games. So what a way to, you know, get that going and get that, like, you know, kicking into gear with the trophy to be like, right, we want more of this. We want this to happen more. We want to be sat here at the end of the season with 2, 3, 4 trophies, not just the one. There's more to do, there's more to get. So yeah, it's a perfect opportunity for this to come along, and it's come at the perfect time in our season, really, with the way everything's looking at the moment. So yeah, I'm really fucking excited, to be honest with you, and gutted I'm not going.
Same. I'm gonna be heading into town to watch it somewhere, I think, and can't wait for it. But I think we'll finish there. But before we go, I just wanted to give a shout out to the podcast sponsor, which is calidesigns.co.uk. So if you want anything off his website, you just enter the code COPIPOD10 on checkout. You get 10% off your entire order. There's loads on there. I've got one up here which I need to rearrange. It's like the Gerrard strike against Olympiacos, but there's more. There's like Hendo lifting the Champions League trophy. There's Klopp with the Champions League trophy. They're all hand drawn by him, and he's a local lad. He's a local red. So there's loads of boss stuff on there. CaliDesigns.co.uk, enter COPIPOD10 on checkout. You get 10% off. So go and check that out. I think we'll leave it there. Nice one to everyone in the comments as well. Been some good stuff in there. Nice one, Matt, for jumping on. But we're getting towards an hour and 15 here, so I was like, let's get back to the going after tea and whatever. We'll get out of here and have mine as well. But yeah, nice one, everyone. Nice one, Matt. And we'll hopefully be back before Sunday. If not, we'll do maybe do an instant match review of hopefully lifting the Carabao Cup up the Reds. Go,